Cello. Cello. Yeah, cello. Hi. Let me adjust this microphone real quick. Yeah. So it's way earlier than normal. Where I am. I nearly didn't get on. I was as you can tell. I was like, but I'm gonna trade. I'm tired of trading happiness for comfort. Didn't get my coffee. Don't need it. Not right now. Not right now. So, hi, I'm Bill. I'm rolling solo today because it's an awkward time for everyone else. But I figured I'd try to do a little morning, or for you guys, afternoon, wherever you are, stream. Um, and in the future, the plan will be to have guests and talk about tabletop role playing games, the mechanics, kind of what those mechanics are doing, all that good stuff. But to start off with, I'd like to talk about DreadLore. Seems like a good thing. That's the DreadLore shirt, by the way. Check it out. Right. Yeah. So this is the DreadLore book. Hi. There it is. Which you can get one if you want. There are links for doing that. I suppose I should thank the Patreon patrons. Since they seriously help out. Daniel Holker and Tim Roberts. And we're gonna be going real simple today. It's no music. Couchfire's not on, so it's gonna be me streaming. So this is what you get. I'm gonna read a little bit out of the DreadLore book. And hopefully that is interesting to watch or listen to or whatever you want. Okay. I'm going to skip the prologue. The prologue is really good. It's a story written by Logan Nance. But I kind of want to save that for if you get the book, you can kind of figure out what's going on with that, the first part of that short story. Because I have a feeling that's going to be a contiguous story he's going to tell. Right. Introducing DreadLore. Lore. The age of a dying world. The world is Craster. The world is old, but not yet finished. Decadence encapsulates the once great kingdoms and empires. Lines of war are drawn as the chaos of magica and science of theurgy contend for a victor. Mortals, such as yourselves, search the stars and chance great deeds in the hope for escape and immortality. In this age of a dying world, travel is fraught with dangers of all sorts, whether it be impromptu militia, raiders lying in wait on the roadside, corrupted beasts, or demons, or daemons. Drawn from some forgotten realm, the wayward traveler and would-be hero best be vigilant. As hope perishes, so too the stars are winking out, and the sky grows darker and dimmer with each passing season. The lands and Zens can somehow feel that the end of all things draws near. The end will not come in a day, a few months, or within many seasons, hundreds of years. Perhaps it will end long after we're gone, but the end ebbs closer. All things can feel its grim approach. It's a good setting, yeah? Such is the world of Craster in the age of a dying world. The overwhelming gray morality of the veil casts a weird hue upon all creation. It's said that the godlike beings, known as the greater and lesser powers, achieved their status by writing their great deeds amongst these stars. That through their sheer willpower, they were able to achieve greatness that manifested as stars reborn into their very own constellations. Through these acts, the powers achieved a kind of immortality, an escape from the doldrums of Craster. The players seek this goal. Players will often find themselves in difficult, sometimes hopeless situations. It's up to players to make purposeful decisions, to rise above and fight against the wretched miasma of the world's dying conscience. Whether they choose a path of selfishness or selflessness, players must become aberrant to achieve greatness and write their names and heroic deeds amongst the stars. Many will try, few will succeed. So I want to give a little bit of credit to a former associate for writing, or in very, very much inspiring much of that. And so the voice changes a little. What is DreadLore? DreadLore is a tabletop role-playing game that focuses on immersive role-playing. It has its own unique fantasy punk setting with which we flavor everything in this book. That said, the DreadLore rules system can be, and has been, used to run several sorts of settings: cyberpunk, steampunk, high fantasy, dark fantasy, noir, horror, etc. I'm going to make an aside. The Red Writ, which we run on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, that is one such setting. It is not in the world of Craster, but it's in the world of Detroit, 1982. But it's using the DreadLore system. What is fantasy punk? It is a setting-specific idea. DreadLore system can be used for most any setting. The world of Craster, explained below, is fantasy punk. Fantasy refers to the idea of being not ordinary. Think of magic, weird science, otherworldly terrain, races, etc. Punk refers to the world being deadly. Craster is grim, dark. Get it? Grim, dark. Grim, dark, touts the horror of the unknown and punishes those who do not respect it. If you think of something like medieval steampunk, your mind will be in the right ballpark. As for immersive role-playing, that coincides with and is explained in the expectations of anyone playing the game. What is a TTRPG? Well, glad you asked. Book. New to tabletop role-playing games? TTRPGs. No problem. TTRPGs are board games where those who play use their imaginations. You're out already, I know. Along with a handful of dice to wander through a storyline and attempt to achieve their characters' goals to the bitter end. They are a form of cooperative storytelling. Now you know. One person takes on the role of the referee. We call her the arbiter. The arbiter does many things. She projects the illusion of a world and setting. She role-plays the non-player characters, NPCs, also called antagonists in this book. And she arbitrates, get it? Any uncertainty that may arise. The arbiter has the final word on what happens in the story. It's a very OSR, old school revival thing to say. The rest of the players each take on a single character within the story, often an intrepid adventurer, of some sort. It's a good band. These player characters, PCs, also referred to as the party, interact with the scenes presented by the Arbiter, exploring ruins of the bygone ages, battling adversaries, solving puzzles, engaging in political intrigue, and likely sowing chaos. Much like the PCs must react to what the Arbiter presents, the Arbiter reacts to the choices of the PCs, narrating consequences leading into the next exciting scene. In this way, a compelling story organically unfolds between the group of friends. Oh, they're friends. How is DreadLore different? Good question. It's a good question. There's no real winning or losing in DreadLore. It's kind of a lie, but whatever, you'll get the idea. There's no real winning or losing in DreadLore. Just degrees of achievement, and there doesn't have to be a predetermined end to the story either. The game focuses on the journey of your players rather than the destination. The limelight is on the player characters, the PCs. They are the story. Even if the players are playing the dregs of society, those who don't matter to the world, they are still the focus of a DreadLore game, and the action is on them. Oftentimes, a new story picks up where the old one left off. Characters change and grow through their experiences, but both tragic and triumphant. Their personalities, goals, and motives may change over time due to these experiences, and they may also accumulate wealth, power, or influence as well. Reaching goals in victory or defeat allows characters to advance, to get more powerful, and push the story's plot forward. Failures often lead to the most exhilarating changes and chapters in the stories. Like the hero who attempts to stem the tide in a flash of heroic effort only to fail. And their attempt is both great and remembered long after their passing. The point is to tell the story rather than only its outcome. Because here's the thing, y'all. If you ever heard someone talk, this is going out of the book. If you ever heard someone talk about their game and your mind just turns off, yeah. You know, this one time I did in this one game and this happened. Ugh. Like, no one cares. If you weren't a part of it, no one really cares. And yet, storytelling is something that we do in so many different ways. Why? Stories are interesting. So that's where this is coming from. You know, tell a story, don't tell a plot. I'm not going to grandstand too much. I'm tired. Who is this game for? You. You should get a book. We got lots of links. Go to the link tree. It'll lead you. You can go almost anywhere and get this book. I have attempted to make sure of it. Amazon, you can get the podcast. The podcast's free. You can get the hardback book. Boom. DriveThruRPG has a bunch of setting material and free stuff. It also has the book. Has a PDF. Lulu Press. If you want this book, this is like it can't really show you. Lulu Press does a different cover. It's kind of like a soft matte cover. It's pretty cool. So you have to go there. But anyway, all of these links are in the link tree. Like, subscribe, do all that bullshit. Who is this game for? Dreamers, storytellers, creatives, actors, artists, game masters, philosophers. This is the beginning of the book. This is where it's going. It's going to get, just keep this energy the whole way. Philosophers, ellipsis. DreadLore is for people that use their brains and desire to explore their imaginations through the lens of a fantasy punk world or any setting that would make sense. It is a setting that is not for the faint of heart. For those who are easily offended, or for those who shy away from tough ideas, decisions, and life, it's not for you. We want everyone to be included. However, this does not mean everyone wants to be included. Exclamation mark. This book assumes a certain level of maturity in its player base. Damn! Damn! Okay, it's going to get salty on page technically 3, although, well, it's technically page 21 because there's the prologue. But, yeah, that's where that comes in. Expectations. DreadLore uses a different play style from modern style TTRPGs. It is new to many people and takes some time to get used to. We call it immersive. Wow, that's wrong. Immersive narration. Changed that at the last minute. We call it narrative. We call it immersive narration. What did we call it? It's in the book. You write a book, you forget what's in it. I used to call it immersive storytelling. I changed it, though. I changed it. I'll tell you the reason I changed it. I changed it because I noticed it's like 95% of people, I just pulled that number out of my ass. 95% of the people that I talk to about gaming are like, oh yeah, it's all about the story. Then I watch their games. And I was like, it's not about your story at all. Like, sorry, this chair is like uncomfortable as it's not about the story at all. I started realizing maybe they don't, it's like a catchword, storytelling, like narrative TTRPGs. It's almost overused, so I was making up a new term. So instead of immersive storytelling, we're now calling it immersive narration. What is that? I'm glad you asked. It's immersive storytelling. We call it immersive narration, and understanding it will get people in the right headspace for playing and running a game using the system. Basically, your characters are the story. It's their story. They have both the limelight and the action. Think about being in your character's shoes, like a first-person point of view perspective rather than a third person or over the shoulder perspective. We care what and how you do what you do, not really why. If part of your action is to literally tell others why you're doing something, then by all means, do that. Otherwise, keep the game focused on the fiction and the action. And that is literally what immersive narration is. At our last DreadLore After Hours podcast, which occurs around 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard on Mondays, after we do the game, the Red Writ, we talked a little bit about that. I think it was this past one. I went on a big tirade. I always do. Anyway, we talked about this idea of stop telling why. It's really easy to fall into. Sometimes necessary, but not just unnecessary. I think it gets in the way. There are mechanics for gaining some degree of narrative control. You gain a modicum of narrative control when you bid a character trait. Your intention becomes reality. When you spend breath and forego all rolls, or when you spend cunning and go before your opponents, they normally go first, by the way. Characters are mortal. They are not epic. Demigods, even at tier 4, that's the highest tier of play. Even at tier 4, and with incandescent souls, these are the biggest spirits. Although that gets pretty close to being a demigod. They're still mortal. The world of Craster is absolutely deadly and will murder characters if they are not prepared and willing to think creatively. There are times to run away and regroup, or just run away. Despite this, characters are striving for greatness to figuratively and sometimes literally write their names in the stars and gain a kind of immortality. This is the epic struggle of the game. The world is dying a slow death, and the characters are looking for escape through achieving greatness that will be remembered. Cheers. Headspace. Let me flip a page really quick. Headspace. Regardless of the setting of your game, so eschewing everything I just said pretty much, this system attempts to allow everyone engaged. This system allows the system attempts to allow everyone engaged in the game, whether they are running the game or playing it, the ability to have a ton of agency. The Arbiter has most of the authority in the game. It's basically a monarchy. That may sound contradictory, but it's not so. The Arbiter has the final say in most situations, so that they are free to be impartial, to arbitrate, without being antagonistic with regard to the story or to the rule set. The players, on the other hand, have paramount agency when deciding what sort of character they're playing, for example, choosing their character traits and bidding those character traits. Everyone can thus have the same expectations. A DreadLore game is about the fiction. It is about players immersing themselves in the characters, being involved in the story arc, and in helping create and move the fiction that follows. This is the headspace that the system attempts to achieve. Lose the rest and get involved. If you find yourself in the headspace, then you're doing it right. The guy who wrote this, I swear. Look at that big old thick page. Right, so here's the book. I'm showing it so that you can see. I'm gonna be reading some of these sections. Look how well they're laid out. My book is wrapped in a towel. I left it in my car over the hurricane, and my car quasi-flooded, so my book got flooded. That said, Lulu Press, that's where this came from, and the book, dude, it still needs to dry out. It's been like 3 days, but it's getting there. The book is pretty good. None of the pages just crazily ripped or bled. Like it'll probably mess with some of the. It's giving a kind of a ripple effect. Like that's actually a really wet page, and it's been, several days, but the ink is actually staying. So, shout out to Lulu Press. Like, the quality of the book is pretty damn good to withstand getting waterlogged and still be, functional. I'm really sad about it, to be honest. I was like, my book. Okay. Where am I? I totally lost my page showing you off my book. So is this interesting? Is it interesting hearing the book? Let me know in comments or if you're in the chat. Please do. That would help a lot. Because if it's not interesting, I won't do it anymore. But if it is interesting, then, this puppy's, it's a hoss. This will give quite a bit of content. Okay. A size wisdom. A size wisdom are side notes written in Cedric's voice. that he wants to pass along to you. These side notes are provided in addition to examples and the arbiter's dark, because they pertain to how the crunch, quote unquote, of rules and mechanics actually manifests and is understood by the people of Craster. Cedric also offers his variations and various opinions about the subject at hand. Arbiter's Dark. The Arbiter's Darks the Arbiter's Dark are side notes containing bits of information and explanations about the world and rules that are directly, mostly, towards the Arbiter. They're written from Bill's perspective, with his voice, and are out of game. And there's little Tweedle's notes and stuff, which I won't read. You can get the book to read those. I'm running out of water. Damn it. Formatting. Pronouns are handled thusly. I think I just wanted to use thusly. Let me get some water really quick. Right back. Oh my. Every time I sit in this chair, it's one of those chairs that you pull the lever and it's like, but every time I sit in it, it goes, kind of like drops down, and I wonder when it's just going to fall. Hopefully, it's not on stream. Boof. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm actually I don't know if I'm actually awake right now. Okay. Formatting. Pronouns are handled thusly. Barring specific examples, the arbiter is a she. An NPC antagonist is a he. A player is a they. And when in doubt, we use they. We often refer to you, a player, a Burke, a fob, and any number of silly terms. We're referring to the universal you, who might find themselves in a particular situation. Why? It's fun. You'll also notice I used themself. I like themself. I think it works. And the they was tricky to use, but we can talk about that at some other point. Bold text is not only for emphasis, but also indicates the first time you see the term in the book in a way that's going to explain what the term means. Words in small caps indicate traits or flaws. Red-lettered underlined titles are designate the names of abilities. Typo. Oh. All your base belong to us. This book that I have is actually the proof. It's the very first printed book, and the book that is actually in circulation is actually, what the fuck am I trying to say? It's the first edition. This is like 0.9 edition. So a lot of these, a lot but not all of the typos are taken care of in the real book. Words in brackets, square brackets, refer to game mechanics that are dependent on other mechanics, or they're used by players. For example, proficiencies are game mechanics, but aren't used by players. Instead, players use mulligans, and which are types of proficiencies. So, I'll just read this. I'll just read it, because that's the point of this. Okay. For example, proficiencies are game mechanics, but aren't used by players. Instead, players use mulligans, which are types of proficiencies. Character traits are resources which players bid to activate abilities and to perform meaningful actions. This makes a little bit more sense when you're reading it because the formatting is literally, it changes the word and how it looks. Reading it out loud, you don't get that. So it would be character traits in square brackets are resources which players bid in square brackets to activate abilities and to perform meaningful actions. Traits, square brackets, are noted throughout the book in two ways. Small caps and also within square brackets. Traits that are listed in small caps appear in descriptions and should be added to your sheet after you've gained that ability, ninja gear, etc. Traits listed in brackets are there as a quick reference, so you can easily know if and how many traits are granted. In the example below, authoritarian presence, within the Codex of Mastery, grants 2 traits, authority and rethink, but not 4. And then I won't read the example because, you can't see it and it won't make any sense. But the idea there is, in the example, you'll see authority and rethink in square brackets. So you know, this ability gives 2 traits. And then when you read the description, authority and rethink are in small caps. So you know, I should add those to my sheet. That might seem like a lot. I think it's inspired from cutting my teeth on D&D. And excuse me. D&D 3.5 or 3.0 is where I really started. And there's a lot of feats, and literally everything is like that. Like, everything has a different role. So that sort of mentality is there. It's really not that complicated once you get used to it, because that rule doesn't change. That's the way it is throughout the book, and all abilities. Okay, I can read the description for authoritarian presence, though. Give you an idea of what an ability is. Authoritarian presence gives authority and rethink. Great commanders realize that their physical presence can be used as a formidable tool. Use your authority to bolster your presence and cause comrades and foes alike to rethink their course of action. While an antagonist may not change their mind entirely, they will certainly take notice of you. I won't go into all this stuff. I'm just going to keep on reading. Damn it. Let's say there's a rule which says that you get a cheese sandwich on a 4-up. In other words, a 4-up, and you happen to be rolling a d8. If your die rolls any of the following numbers, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, then you get the sandwich. If you roll a 1, 2, or 3, you don't get the sandwich. What a silly example. Example, formatting the dice. 4 plus, 8 plus, 10 plus refer to 4 up, 8 up, and 10 up, respectively. These terms apply to the results you get when you're rolling your dice, specifically to when you're trying to gain successes, in brackets. The terms mean that if you roll that number or anything above it, then something happens. For those who like to feel mathy, the numbers are inclusive, and so could also be written as greater or equal to 4, and you get the idea. We, however, do not inflict this formatting upon anyone. So again, this is just formatting. 4 up means 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 up means 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 4 to 7, 8 to 12. Just spilt water everywhere. Thankfully, it was not on the mic. Examples. This book is replete with examples, which hopefully aid you in understanding how the rules and narrative style work as one. As one. Examples highlight specific rules, showing how they might work in different encounters and tend to be more straightforward and mechanical in nature than other sections. They're written so as to introduce and follow the misadventures of a group of custom DreadLore characters with whom you'll soon be acquainted. The voice. While mechanics heavy sections of the book are written with Bill's voice, much of it's written from the perspective of a curious vagabond known as Cedric Kidder. Cy is an honorific. Some of what Cy Kidder has to say isn't entirely accurate, as you may find out. While many of his exploits weren't done in the most legal of manners, his unique perspectives on the world of Craster can be very useful for the canny Zen, that is, a denizen of Craster, a Zen. Portions of the book were acquired by Cy Kidder, for example, the Diary of Agrimbar, within traditions of mysticism, and are presented in their former owners' voices. A lexicon. Cedric uses a slew of slang words and terminologies native to Craster. You should be able to understand most references through contexts. Also, this is how Zens of Craster speak. Try and use these terms in your own games to elicit the feel of the world, assuming you're using the world of Craster. And a complete list of them is in Appendix Languages and Lexicon. Check that out. Heavily inspired by Planescape 2nd edition, by the way, which if you haven't checked out, you should. The README. I'm a developer. I need a README. It's actually a bit of an oxymoron because the idea is developers never actually write the README. Anyway. All right. README. README. It's in the book. Whether you are a seasoned gamer, a newcomer, or somewhere in between, it is best to start learning this game with an open mind that is free of assumptions. If you have not already, read the entirety of Introducing DreadLore. It walks you through the basics of gaming. In this README section, we're going to recap on some of what has previously been said in the effort to give you an exhaustive list of what you can expect from this game, and a play-by-play of how it functions. We will cover what you specifically need to play the game. I didn't do that. I put the wrong emphasis on the incorrect syllable. What you specifically need to play the game. Roles and responsibilities for the players and the arbiter. Instructions for setting up a game session and playing. Instructions for taking your turn. Guide you through examples of what a DreadLore game should look like as you play it. In other words, the mindset that the players and arbiter should have. The rest of the book will lead you through making a character, provide you with an ample DreadLore setting materials. Most of the book is dedicated to this effort. That's why it's 500 pages. Give in-depth descriptions and examples about DreadLore's various rules and play styles. Present a descriptive list of flora and fauna and monsters, which are setting specific. Give some pointers on how to adapt DreadLore's system to other settings. For a quick list of all the significant mechanics in the DreadLore system, drop down to the appendices and check out Appendix Rules Cheat Sheet. By the way, the rules cheat sheet character creation, quick start are all free on DriveThruRPG. It's in the link tree and all that good stuff, and on the official website. DreadLore, LORE.com. I say it that way so you don't think it's DreadLord. It's DreadLore. What you need to play. In order to play DreadLore, you'll need the following. One person who wants to be the game, who wants to... I'm tired. One person who wants to run the game called the Arbiter. I could go on a tirade about this, but I ain't gonna. A group of players. A typical game has 4 to 6, though games can be as small as 1 player and 1 Arbiter, and as large as the Arbiter thinks she can handle. Anyway, 1 character sheet per player, either a printed copy or a pre-generated character. Something erasable to mark character sheets, such as a pencil. Do this. Don't write in pen, unless you want. A set of dice per player and a set for the Arbiter. If you need to share dice, that won't cause any problems, lest you're superstitious. You will need a D4, D6, D8, D10, and a D12. It is a good idea to have at least 2 D10, and is even better to have 2 sets of all the dice. Just for terminology, a D4 is a 4-sided die, a D6 is a 6-sided die, etc. A standard polyhedral dice set is a great option if you don't have any dice yet. Access to the DreadLore Corebook. This book, so you're already on your way. Access to the DreadLore Corebook is not mandatory. You could actually get the Getting Started Guide and play. The GSG, Getting Started Guide, I'm pretty sure it's pay what you want on drive-thru. If it's not, it's like $1. Of which I get like 40 cents. Time. You gotta have time, baby. DreadLore is a game which normally spans several game sessions, the entirety of which is called a campaign. Or if the Arbiter has 1 game session in mind, you can call that a one-shot. Then your entire game could span a single evening. Each game session lasts between 3 and 6 hours, though your group could do more or less as desired. The Red Writ, which is the campaign we're doing on Monday, that usually lasts 3.5 to 4 hours. Roles and responsibilities. The point of a DreadLore game, and most any TTRPG for that matter, is to cooperatively tell a story, i.e. the fiction. Over the course of several game sessions, in order to achieve this end, you must first understand the roles and responsibilities of the players and of the Arbiter. What do players do? Bill, please tell me. Book. Each player builds their own character using the character creation steps, Chapter 3, and they act as roleplay those characters during gameplay. The why, quote unquote. The why of what players are doing is determined by the goals they've created for their characters, which are cleared with the Arbiter beforehand. So players are role-playing their characters in accordance with their goals, which follow the Arbiter's story. Achieving one's goals allows them to advance, for example, gain power, more resources, and expand their character's capability. What does the Arbiter do? The Arbiter runs the game. She writes a story arc, sets the mood for the fiction's setting, roleplays every character other than the player characters, and dictates when scenes and encounters begin and end. She also has the final decision on any element of the game. The Arbiter is playing the game too, trying to join in with the characters, the players, to fashion a compelling story. To join in with the players to fashion a compelling story. The game plays out as a conversation between everyone at the table, or the remote table, bringing it all together. Players describe to the group and arbiter what and how their characters are doing, how they're responding to the fictional world around them. Winning could be defined as successfully telling a compelling story, which includes all of the player characters, honors the arbiter's story arc and the mood of the setting, and above all, it was fun to do it. So that's winning, telling a good story. Everyone's involved in telling the story, all of the players as well as the arbiter. It's up to the arbiter to set up the world and maintain the setting. She describes the overall story arcs and scenes, and she referees and arbitrates any questions or disagreements which might arise. And they will. The setup instructions. All players must have a finished character and mostly filled out character sheet before the gameplay can begin. Character sheets can be added to and completed as the game ensues. This is a difference in this game. The first game session often takes the form of Session 0, where all of the players sit down together with the arbiter and create characters. This can also be done away from the table, one-on-one between player and arbiter, or at any point before the first game session. Regardless, the following should occur. The arbiter outlines the expectations for her game, the general attitude and feel she wants at the table, where in-game the characters will start and be able to explore, how many game sessions there will be, when and where it will take place, and so forth. The arbiter describes the prologue of her story, so her players can get ideas for kinds of characters they might want to play. This description can be a kind of narration, like the opening crawl for a movie, or it could be a short scene or two, wherein she introduces the world at hand, the player characters, and any pertinent antagonists. Players create their characters and discuss their choices with the arbiter and one another, as well as their characters' goals. Characters might have secrets from or be at odds with one another. It's up to the arbiter and those players if these facets of their characters are known out of game. Gotta be careful with this. That can piss people off, as I am all too aware. Sometimes the arbiter will have the players simply listen to their narration. Other times, they will play through this prologue. In the case of the latter, the arbiter must announce it. It's a montage of the dread, both of which are discussed below. The setup for your first game session differs from those thereafter. If it's the first game session, the arbiter will narrate what the world is doing. This is the world action, and introduce the player's characters as needed. Introductions can happen all at once or one-on-one as the story progresses. More water, please. Excuse. We'll finish up soon. For game sessions after the first, several stages of the game can take place. Which one comes first depends on where you are in your story and how the arbiter decides to direct events. The arbiter, a player, or the group as a whole... Wow, I just read that wrong. The arbiter, a player, or the group as a whole recaps the previous session's stories, seminal events, and so on. The arbiter sets the scene by describing what the players see or know, the world around them, and any antagonists which might be around. At this point, she announces, "You're in the montage." Again, and that's where we're going to end. This book is the proof, so there are actual discrepancies between this version and the one you'll get. I corrected some stuff. So when I continue, I'll be reading from the PDF, which is the actual most up-to-date version. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go back to bed. It's early. I don't like being up early. I hope you dug getting a taste of the book and kind of what it's all about. I hope I did not interject too much. And again, if you're interested in hearing more, let me know. It helps the algorithm. It also, helps me know. And we'll be doing the podcast as normal come this Monday, 7 p.m., where we'll actually play DreadLore. There'll be other people and a much better media production. Thanks to the Patreon people, Daniel Holker and Tim Roberts, for hooking it up. In the event you want to jump on the Patreon and improve the entire setup, thanks. That'd be great. Again, the links are in the link tree. You want to get a book or any materials, again, Linktree or the official website. And please like and subscribe if you get a chance. You know the score. But it really does change things when you do that. Okay. Peace out. Ad break ends in 1 minute. Was that all through an ad? Okay. Well, I'll export. I guess I can hook it up for 45 seconds so the Twitch stream is like, where'd you go? That's one good thing about doing podcasty videocast stuff. Drink a ton of water. Like my voice is like, ooh. Bad news bears. Yeah, I switched when I was back home. Around people, we would be drinking beer, and that would get interesting. So it's actually been good for me, much more healthy to be remote because, I don't drink alone, unless it's bourbon. I kid. Okay. Yeah, it keeps on saying ad breaks. I'm just going to assume that that's not true or whatever. Anyway, thanks for everyone for watching and such, and that'll be it. Peace out.